we're talking about the big investigation. There's been rumors and stuff kind of percolating for months and weeks and whatnot. The John Doe investigation, now we're starting to get some actual details of this thing. Major accusations, a lot of bizarre plot twists on that one. An investigation spanning years, actually, found 2 men that allegedly have been taking money from veterans and their families. How horrible is that? As it turns out, though, it was actually Governor Scott Walker's former chief of staff, the one that asked for the investigation. The investigation into the Milwaukee County sponsored fund. These are former staffers of Scott Walker, the governor now, who was then a Milwaukee County executive. Again, it was his chief of staff that asked for this, and it turns out that there's embezzlement. And then, when they got one of the guy's computers, they started digging into it and found child pornography.
Yeah,
right,
so on his computer.
Yeah, not these 2 guys. I think it's the other guy.
Yeah, sorry, his domestic and business partner.
Right.
So they went to the embezzlement guys, got the computer, and that led them to this other charge. So there's just some weird stuff going on. And then, of course, they had to ask the governor how he thought it would affect the recall. And, you know, he just pointed out he hopes that everybody realizes it was his chief of staff that asked for the investigation in the first place.
Right, that they probably wouldn't have even known about this. And, of course, the Democrats are coming out and saying, oh, this just shows he has bad leadership and bad choice making in the people he hires. But then when you consider, it's like, how would you ever know what everybody's going to be doing under your staff, your staff, you know? And the fact is like he said, anything could be twisted around for anything, and I hope people will realize that I'm the one that asked for this investigation.
And it will be twisted.
That's
what happens.
We talk about this oftentimes kind of guilty by association, and we oftentimes try to link somebody to something that someone in their association or in their camp has done to discredit them. Right. And I say, if you give a break, give a break.
Exactly. It's like Obama and his pastor.
Sure. Right. Or the Weather Underground guy. Yeah. They tried real hard to put that all together and make it stick.
All the time.
And you know what, to be fair, I don't think most people bought into that. And I don't think most people will make a negative connection here. I think it's a good point. His office said, hey, something's fishy. Look into it.
Exactly.
Right.
And
they're doing
and I don't think he should be guilty because people that...
And at the end of the day, it really doesn't have to do with why people want to have him recalled. I mean,
no, collective bargaining is why people want to have him recalled. And the signatures, a judge in Waukesha decided that, you know, when we were talking about whether or not you could sign up as Mickey Mouse on the recall or, you know, anything else that you want to make, he's saying that they are going to have to keep the fake names off the recall petitions. As of right now, that's the decision by the judge.
They ruled in favor of the Friends of Scott Walker.
Well, that the GAB needs to look for him, right? Because they were saying it's the Walker supporters who needed to go through all these names that the recall people collected and verify, and they're like, wait a minute. Isn't there an elected board?
That's what your job
should be checking for Mickey Mouse?
But I think and that board was saying it was going to cost them, I think, $94,000 according to what they had to say in the paper, and that 8 extra weeks for the staff.
Well, no, I think it's important they do this. My only criticism of that is, why weren't they asking for this when they were trying to recall Democratic senators? Then the recall process was okay by them because they were trying to recall Democratic senators.
Well, were you saying
the Democrats should have filed suit then, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right. Well, yeah, I think that obviously both sides should agree to this because ultimately this is the right thing to do.
Exactly.
However, it's interesting that they waited till this recall when they didn't have any skin in the game, they being those who support Scott Walker, the Republican side of the argument, because they had this, they were trying to recall Democratic senators. Well, fair is fair when at all levels.
Yeah, I agree with
you. But do we even know if there were
Mickey?
I totally agree with you. But do we know if Mickey Mouse was used in the Democratic
I think it's
recalls?
a different level. It's a different level, a number of signatures, first of all.
Fair is fair.
Right, no, but I'm saying the story's already surfaced during this recall where it did not in the first one about Mickey Mouse
and somebody already had
Adolf
signed
Hitler signing, you know, things like that.
In those
80
recalls
times
too.
he signed.
We did? Yeah, every recall, every petition has Mickey Mouse on it.
Every side wants to win, and as we just talked about, there are unscrupulous people all around us.
Yeah. At the end of the day, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah. It is the right thing to do. I don't remember those stories so much in the recall stuff, but maybe. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just don't remember it being there.
Yeah.
Speaking, though, of a good story, USA Today is saying that we should be cheering for Scott Walker.
Really?
A columnist came out, he's in USA Today basically saying that because of the changes that are being made in Wisconsin and the fact that he has been able to balance the budget and is going to be looking at unions nationwide on what we're going to be able to do with getting the country back on track. So it was interesting that our governor, whether you agree or not, got the...
He's making national
news.
Yeah.
Let me see if I hear the roar.
The cheer?
I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some
there's
folks
some people
are.
out there doing that.
I just don't hear it.
You
But-
will when everything is, balanced.
Well, you know,
to budget.
I will keep listening.
When we have
for
more
it.
money to take care of programs that help people.
All right, I'll keep listening for that.
If
I
it
will
works out that
definitely
way,
cheer
I,
for
mean,
works
that.
out
I
that
think
way.
that's
For
what the
that.
governor was banking on, and I think that's what the unfortunate side of the whole recall effort is that he made some tough decisions to do what he believes is right. Now, whether you agree with him or not, that's one thing, but what he was banking on was that by the end of his first term, you would see the positive of it and therefore re-elect him. Because if it doesn't work out, he sure wouldn't be getting re-elected.
Right. True.
But the recall won't give him a chance to actually prove whether it worked or not.
Right.
All right. Let's switch gears just a little bit here because this is a good twist to a sad story. We report so often on house fires and the fatalities, but this is a different story. This is where smoke detectors actually saved lives. The fire broke out early this morning on 29th and Lincoln, and firefighters, when they arrived, smoke was billowing out of the windows. They actually had to break the walls down to get in and stop the fire. They suspected it was electrical, but the smoke detectors saved them. Take a look and listen at what went on.
It was not open flame, open burning that anybody could see. Without that smoke detector, we might be talking about a different outcome. So the very positive thing was everybody was able to get out. Our guys were able to get in very quickly.
There were 12 people who were inside that home at the time whose lives were saved because of working smoke detectors. So, if you don't know when you last changed your batteries, on our commercial break, get busy changing batteries.
Yeah, well, the new year's a good time to do it. And I'm glad that you brought this story up because at first when they were saying, well, we could put this story in, I was like, well, it's really not news. I mean, nobody got hurt. And you said...
We do, well, we always do the
Always
stories,
do the other
unfortunately, when
stories.
the people die because their smoke detectors didn't work. So
Right.
we
Let's do
should
this
bring it
one.
up that, thank
Absolutely.
goodness, a dozen people are
Yeah.
safe today because they did work.
Yeah.
So,
See?
yeah.
Yeah,
Real
check those
Milwaukee,
batteries.
positive, exactly.
We try.
Yeah,
Try to be.
as we head to break, Milwaukee Police Chief Ed Flynn starting his second term as we speak. The top cop is being sworn in right now at City Hall. Now, Flynn has served as Milwaukee's top cop since 2008, and at today's ceremony, he's going to be in charge of the department until at least 2016. He's the first person to be reappointed to a second term since 1863.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I
It
know.
must have been his
Wow.
stint here on Real Milwaukee.
Yeah, we try to get live video for you, but it's 3 floors up and it's just really too hard to cable
Yeah.
in. But amazing, this is the only video that we could find.
You're not going to see this
So,
anywhere else.
yeah, you're not going to see this when he's sworn. He was able to
That's
overcome
why.
being on Real Milwaukee and
That's
still be
why.
sworn in a second time.
Man.
So obviously an embarrassing moment in his career. He survived. Now,
Don't mess with him. Look at those
John
push-ups.
McCain survive a very embarrassing flub up? That is the question. Wait till you hear what he had to say coming up.